वेलकम बैक. रयत शिक्षण संस्था दादा पाटील महाविद्यालय कर्जत. डिपार्टमेंट ऑफ झुऑलॉजी. I am Dr. Indira Patil, Associate Professor in Zoology. And today I am going to talk on host-parasite relationship. That is the remaining part from this topic, the remaining types of host specificity. Thus, it is a part second of this topic. And here, this topic from the paper 5th Parasitology from semester 1st 40 BSc student. Thus, this video is for educational purpose only. No copyright infringement. And this copy belongs to rightful owner. So the topic, the host parasite relationship. From that, the second type of host specificity is the physiological specificity. The physiological adaptations of parasite to its microenvironment on or in the body of the host is called as physiological host specificity. Thus, there are physiological adaptations of parasite to physiological conditions or its microenvironments in the body of host or on the body of host is called as physiological host specificity. The many ciliate protozoan parasites are found in the cecum of the horse and numerous flagellates are found only in the hindgut of termites. The many ciliate protozoan parasites are found in the cecum of horse. The cecum is a part of intestine, digestive tract, and here in horse, the cecum is the environment for the ciliate protozoan parasites, and the flagellates are found only in hindgut of termites. That is, some flagellates are found in hindgut of the termite. That is, hindgut of the termite is the environment for the or physiological. There are physiological conditions are available to flagellates in hindgut of termites, and physiological conditions are available in cecum of the horse to ciliate protozoans. The ciliates adapted physiological conditions are available in the cecum of the horse, and the flagellates let's grafted logical conditions available in the gut of the termite. Thus, these physiological conditions, because of physiological conditions, they are commonly found or they are parasite in that particular part of the host. And thus, it is called as a physiological specificity. Because of that, physiological conditions are available to parasite. The parasite is adapted in that particular environment found in that host body. The Rogers in 1962 suggested that for many infective stages of nematodes require essential biophysical biochemical factors to hatch and develop further inside their host. The Roger 1962 suggested that many infective stages of nematodes require the essential biophysical and biochemical conditions to hatch and develop inside their host body. That is, for example, nematode Ascaris lumbricoides, and four stage larva containing egg of the Ascaris is hatched in digestive tract or intestine of the host that is in man, intestine of man, and thus they also develop in man host. That is, here in this the development is occur, that is larva immediately, first stage larva immediately after hatching, it migrate throughout the host body of man host, and it migrate to liver, heart, lung, trachea, larynx, and finally reach to esophagus, and then goes to stomach, again entering intestine. Thus, these biophysical and biochemical conditions are available to hatch and to develop in various parts of the body of the host, and the biophysical and biochemical conditions are available in host body. Because of that, these stages, nematode stages, are developed, are found in host body, and thus this is nothing but the physiological specificity of nematodes or these Ascaris lumbricoides found in man body. The parasite can no longer synthesize unnecessary compound, and hence it depends on its host for it. Thus, no longer parasite cannot synthesize the required substances in host body, and thus it depend for the substances or their food material or for these metabolites available in host body, and they directly receive from the host body. Naturally, the parasite will be specific only those hosts which are able to provide such compounds. Naturally, parasite will be specific to that particular host in which these substances or these metabolites or these nutrients are available, or they can utilize from that particular host. The certain tapeworm which live in gut require urea for maintenance of osmotic balance. Thus, certain tapeworms are found in the live in gut, require the urea for maintenance of osmotic balance. This metabolite is available only in the intestine of cartilaginous fishes, and the cartilaginous fish use urea for the same purpose. The cartilaginous fish use the urea for maintain the urea and in their body, to maintain the for mainly to maintain the osmotic balance. And the certain tapeworms are found because of that in the body of these cartilaginous fishes, that is intestine of cartilaginous fishes, not in other fish which not maintain the urea, which not require the urea for their osmoregulation. Okay, hence this parasite naturally restricted these host only, and it is called as a physiological specificity. That is, in the physiological condition of cartilaginous fishes having the urea in their intestine or intestinal environment and or in their blood, and because of that, this tapeworm live are restricted to particular host, that is cartilaginous fish. This is about the physiological specificity, physiological host specificity. Now third, ecological host specificity. The ability of parasite to infect the compatible host as the result of ecological opportunity, and it is called as a ecological specificity. If the ecological opportunity is there, then only parasite infect to their compatible host, that is in which the physiological condition to that in that host body is available to that parasite. But how this parasite is rich, even they having that structural specificity, that is particular because of their particular structure, they reach up to that host, or they can attach to that host even their presence of physiological condition, but ecological opportunity is available, then only this parasite is reached to their host, and thus it is called as ecological specificity. It is due to the availability of ecological opportunity the parasite reach to their compatible host, that is to which this parasite is adjusted, that is parasite, because of that this parasite having their particular host. This example reported by Sealer in 1959. This tested, he tested uh, the ability of tapeworm, Vamperolepis nana. Vamperolepis nana is the name of the that biological name of this tapeworm, which infect the variety of mammals. This tapeworm infect variety of mammals, and the Sealer in 1959 tested this ability of Vamperolepis nana on different types of mammals, including some which are not known to harbor this parasite in nature. In natural condition, this Vamperolepis nana tapeworm not infect to these mammals, but in some condition it infect to that these mammals, that is other than their host, it can infect to other mammals also. That is it was found that some of the mammals cannot harbor the species of tapeworm due to lack of opportunity in the nature. That is, some of the mammals cannot harbor, totally not found this tapeworm in some of the mammals in the natural condition. That is, in nature, there is a lack of opportunity to reach this tapeworm up to the mammals, up to that host mammals. That is, other than their host, some other mammals not cannot harbor this tapeworm in natural condition. The prevention of infection in nature due to the ecological barrier. There are ecological barrier, ecological condition. Some barriers are there. Because of that barriers, there is a prevention of infection of tapeworm, Vampurolepis nana, to reach up to the some mammals, and because of that, naturally they not harbor, they not support this parasite. Okay, that is it is known as, and if this condition is available, that is if there are barriers, they cannot reach to the host, and then it is called as a ecological non-specificity. That is when parasite cannot reach to that host because of ecological barriers, earthly, because of ecological barriers, and then it is called as a ecological non-specificity. And if the ecological conditions or opportunities are available, then it is called as a ecological host specificity. The basis for ecological specificity need not always be spatial. Thus, the grey squirrel is always infected with Vamperolepis nana. The grey squirrel, the squirrel is grey squirrel is always infected with Vamperolepis nana, is the tapeworm. Okay, in the laboratory, if it is maintained on a diet dog biscuit, maintained on um, diet dog biscuit, but if it is fed its natural food consisting of corn and mushroom, it cannot infected. That is when there is a Vamperolepis nana in the laboratory fed on dog biscuits, and when it is fed on a natural food consisting of the corn and mushroom, it cannot infect it, and thus it is indicates that the grey squirrel is not naturally infected because in nature diet lack components supplied by the dog biscuits. That is, with dog biscuit there are some components are supplied, and these are not in natural diet. These are not in nature diet, and lack of these components in dog biscuit, and thus it is indicate that the grey squirrel is not naturally infected. Is not naturally infected when it feed on mushroom and corn. Now, mushroom and corn is the its natural food, and along with this natural food, the grey squirrel is not infected. But when it fed in laboratory on dog biscuit, then there are chances of infection by the Vamperolepis nana, isn't it? This next one more specificity here, that is ecological specificity is third type of host specificity. That is three main specificities are the structural or morphological specificity, second is physiological specificity, and third is ecological specificity. And ecological specificity is also become non-ecological specificity when opportunity is not available, ecological barriers are there to reach up to the host. But There is one more specificity recorded, that is ethological host specificity. The parasite shows behavioral pattern in this specificity is called as ethological specificity. That is parasite shows behavioral pattern, and these behavioral patterns in this specificity is called as ethological specificity. We can explain this with the help of the example. The one is the pork tapeworm, Taenia solium. The Taenia solium is the type of, it is a type of tapeworm, this tapeworm, tapeworm, and this one is the pork tapeworm. Pork tapeworm, pork, that is pig. The tapeworm found in pig are tapeworm mainly develop in pig muscle. Pig muscle, okay. Thus here another beef tapeworm. The beef tapeworm is the Tinea saginata. The pork tapeworm is the Tinea solium, and beef tapeworm is the Tinea saginata. Now the beef tapeworm, that is a tapeworm stages developed in muscles of cattle. Muscles of cattle. That is a beef. The flesh of the cattle is called as a beef, and flesh of the pig is called as a pork, isn't it? Thus here, uh, pork tapeworm is a Tinea solium, and beef tapeworm is a Tinea saginata. They exhibit ethological specificity. This two shows the ethological specificity. With the help of this figure, I will explain the ethological specificity. In both cases, gravid proglottid release with excreta is suited to habitat of their host. That is, one host is the man, one host is the man, and other host is either cattle or the pig. That is, in case of Tinea solium, there is another host is the pig. That is pork tapeworm, for the pork tapeworm Tinea solium. For the beef tapeworm, that is a Tinea saginata, the cattle is the another host. The one host is man, another host is cattle, and one host is man, another host is a pig. You understand this? Thus, along with the fecal of the human being, their eggs of tapeworm, these are released outside, release outside. They remain in fecal, or they migrate along with grass towards the cattle, or directly they uh, mm, remain in fecal and eaten by the pig, isn't it? Along with grass, they migrate towards the uh, from fecal, they migrate towards the cattle, or along with the um, from this fecal matter, these eggs are directly taken by means of the pig, isn't it? In this way, these egg stages are enter in digestive tract of the cattle or enter in digestive tract of the pig. But these stages from intestinal muscle of the cattle or the pig. These are develops in intestinal muscle of the cattle and pig. Thus, these stages are present in muscle, finally reach in muscle of the cattle and pig. And by eating uncooked flesh of this pig, some people feed on uncooked flesh of the pig and the cattle, or not properly cooked flesh of the cattle and the pig. There, these stages, that is, a egg again develops to next stages, finally form the cysticercus cellulosa, and these stages again with this flesh enter into the human body. With biting this flesh, they are taken by the human body. That is, any one type of the tapeworm can be entered at one time by eating the particular type of flesh, eating that particular type of flesh. How these stages are released into the soil from the human body, this is given in this figure. That is this is the body of the tapeworm. This tapeworm is present in the host body, that is in man intestine, and mature segment of this tapeworm are finally released from the body of tapeworm. They having the gonads, they having the reproductive organs in this uh, gravid proglottids. These segments, mature segments, are called as gravid proglottids. Thus, these are, along with these egg stages, the gravid proglottids are separate and finally in intestine, where it is present. Suppose this is the part of intestine. In intestine, these gravid proglottids are released, and these are released in soil, and these are released in soil. Okay, and in this way, finally, these are released in soil and these are then taken by means of these animals, finally reach to the man again via the flesh of this animal. Okay, flesh of this animal. Thus here, pork tapeworm and the pig tapeworm, pork tapeworm and the um, beef tapeworm. These are the two types of tapeworm. These are found in man intestine, and the stages are released via gravid segments. That is, gravid. These are called as gravid proglottids body segments with testes and ovaries. They having testes and ovaries. There is a fertilization, self fertilization is there also, and formation of the uh, egg, fertilized eggs, and finally development is occur and start the development. Thus eggs finally reach up to these animals. Thus here, what is the ethological first specificity? That is here, whereas proglottids of the big tapeworm leave the fecal mass of the proglottids of the beef tapeworm leave the fecal mass and uh, to the clean grass, and they uh, leave and goes to the clean grass, and which are taken up by cattle along with the grass. But proglottids of the um, pork tapeworm, these are remaining fecal and taken by the pig, again taken by the pig. Thus, there are so thus the specificity of the that is with the help of these two examples, Tinea solium and Tinea saginata, Tinea solium and Tinea saginata, we can explain the ethological host specificity. There are several parasites which also exhibit host tissue specificity. That is blood parasite Plasmodium vivax and limb parasite Wuchereria, muscle parasite Trichinella spiralis highly shows the are highly host tissue specific than the parasite living in the digestive tract like Ascaris. Thus, there are several parasites which also exhibit the host specificity. That is, you know that the Plasmodium vivax is a blood parasite. It is a protozoan. It is a blood parasite of man. Then Wuchereria, that is a filaria worm, are the limb parasite in man, found in lymph, that is finally reached to lymphatic tissue, and blockage of the lymphatic vessels. Thus, it is a limb parasite. Then, Trichinella spiralis is the uh, nematode worm. Wucheria, it is also nematode worm. Trichinella spiralis is nematode worm. These are the Trichinella spiralis is a muscle parasite found in muscle of man as well as other mammals also. Are highly host tissue specific than the parasite living in the digestive tract like Ascaris. Thus, Ascaris is not found in particular tissue. Ascaris found in intestine. Ascaris is migrate towards the liver, their larva, four-stage larva, migrate towards the liver, heart, migrate to lungs, again trachea, then larynx, pharynx, esophagus, and finally again enter in digestive tract, that is stomach, intestine, and live finally in intestine. Thus, like the Ascaris, these parasites not having that found in various organs of the host body. These parasites having their particular tissue, they require the particular tissue, that is the Plasmodium vivax multiply in blood or in RBC mainly. Then Wucheria branchopti, that is a filaria worm found in lymph, lymph parasite. It reach up to the lymphatic tissue. Then Trichinella spiralis, it found in muscle, isn't it? In this way, uh, host tissue specificity is also uh, these are also types of host specificity. That is, host specificity is nothing but the host parasite relationships. Host parasite relationships, and um, this, because of their that specific relationship, it is called as with the host body or host tissue or host organ, host physiological condition, structural condition, as well as ecological condition, ethological condition. Um, these types, these are called as a specificity, host specificity, because the specific conditions are available in host body or on host body. Thus, with the help of different example, you can learn. Again, you can take the more example to explain these different types of specificity. There may be the short note on any one or any two types of specificity. Um, and with the help of example, we can explain the structural specificity or morphological specificity. And second, physiological specificity. Third, ecological specificity and non-ecological specificity. And last one, ethological host specificity can also we can describe with the help of these examples. And there is also presence of host tissue specificity. Thus, you have to write the short note on any two types of host specificity, isn't it? Or any one term can be asked for the 1 mark. Define or explain the following terms. Okay. Mm, these are the different links. Links are used for the images and to explain these host specificity video. Thank you very much.